Hey, top of the Saturday morning to all of you watching us here on DraftKings Network and VSiN. You are watching The Sweat. I'm your host for the next 2 hours, Emerson Latzia. Josh Applebaum over here, back from the Super Bowl.
I made it. I survived.
DK
Rep
Network.
the team, you know?
Quarter zip.
Oh, yeah.
I can't wait to potentially get one of those.
Maybe I can work on it for you, Emerson. I know a guy who knows a guy.
Yeah,
How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great. It's good to be here
Real
with you.
quick question. Where's Steve and where's Julian? Just me and you flying solo today.
Julian will be joining us later on this show. Steve is still recovering after 10 days in Vegas.
They worked him pretty hard out there. Yeah.
I mean,
he
hell,
recovery.
he may still be in Vegas. I don't really know. I haven't heard from the guy because he never texts me back. What I can tell you is what's coming up in this show. Big Cat at the Genesis Invitational was fun while it lasted. Who to back, though, the rest of the weekend? We had some drama out there, including Jordan Spieth not knowing simple math. NBA All-Star Weekend. We are inside it, people. It is going down in Indianapolis. Who to bet tonight for the three-point competition? How about the dunk contest? Tomorrow's All-Star game, and also UFC 298. It's back in California. So Josh will have some betting insights on that, hopefully. But right now, yes, first time we're seeing you here since coming back from the Super Bowl. So let's get into a little bit of NFL hangover here, shall we? Because I'm sure everyone watching at home right now or watching out west is literally nursing a hangover. So, first off, congratulations. There were people crapping on you left and right on Twitter. The haters were out in full force. You can take your victory lap right now if you would like.
So I'll take a small victory lap.
Yeah!
I want to remain a little bit humble here, but again, I think this was a great test case in having conviction in a play, because and it's also a test case in not letting the crowd shame you into making a bet or staying off.
Tried to bully you, Josh.
And you got to stick with what works for you, because again, the big thing I'm kind of getting to is when I was out in Vegas all week, I really kind of played up the angle of Mahomes as a dog. We've talked about on the Sweat all season long, Emerson. Mahomes is a dog, now 11-1 ATS, and I mentioned going into the Super Bowl, he was 10-1 ATS. Now, was that the only reason I bet the Chiefs? No, there are a variety of reasons. You look at also just postseason dogs in general. Betting against the public, taking dogs has been a great philosophy long term when it gets to the postseason. Postseason dogs are now 52-34 against the spread, 60% since 2017. Super Bowl dogs now 14-7 ATS, 67% the last 21 years. And there's also a great video that came out where Billy Walters was interviewed, the GOAT when it comes to sports bettors, the Michael Jordan of sports bettors, where he was saying, I actually make the Kansas City Chiefs a favorite in this game. And really his reasoning was the better quarterback, the better coaching, better defense, better kicker. And he was spot on there as Moody missed one of the extra points there, Emerson, which, believe it or not, kept that game under the 47.5 or 40, or you pushed to 47 here. But I think when it comes to making a bet, and we were having some fun talking about, Titanic, references to the iceberg.
Dude.
And my whole goal there, Emerson, you can paint me like one of your French girls later, Emerson.
Yeah. People know how thirsty you are if they saw this show last
And by
week.
the way, on the flight back to Boston, Titanic. I was able to find it, so I watched that.
We have proof of that on Twitter.
And basked in the glow of that. But my whole point with the reference there to Titanic, having some fun, is that, the power ratings said that the 49ers were the Titanic, this unsinkable ship. They were the better roster. The data said that they should be favored. But the iceberg ahead that you had to factor in was Patrick Mahomes. And of course, Mahomes didn't look great in the first half. Really, the Chiefs kind of just felt discombobulated. They turn it on. They win it late. It was an epic sweat. But my whole point being, Emerson, is that if you have conviction on a play, don't let people talk you into something or talk you out of it. Again, it's a victory lap because I just felt like there was a lot of shaming of people, and I hate this in the sports betting community where, if you're making a bet, you're trying to win your bet. You're rationalizing in your head why you're betting something. People can disagree with you, but to kind of shame the thought process, to me, is just, it's not worthwhile, and I think it's just kind of a bad part of the hashtag gambling community. So again, Chiefs come through for you. And I also will lean on late movement, Emerson, because the Chiefs were pretty much +2 throughout much of the week. But really, the last couple hours going into kickoff, they were juiced up like they were getting down to 1.5. So there was that late movement toward Kansas City.
Okay, so is that sharps coming in and placing some big chunky bets, like moving that line a little bit? And I know in the eyes of sports books, like not all money, even from sharps, are looked at equally, are treated equally.
It's a great point by you, Emerson. Now, the caveat to that is the Super Bowl is kind of the one event all year long where public money can have an influence just because it's so insanely heavily bet. I mean, we've already seen they set viewership rating records. They set epic handle in Nevada. I think there was like 180 million in handle, the new record here. But I think your point is really important, Emerson, because you got to remember the phrase follow the money. We have a show at VSiN called Follow the Money. I think it should be called follow the sharp money, not always follow the public money. You got to remember, money isn't created equally. It's a great point you just made, Emerson. Some bets are $5 average Joe bets that are just coming from casual bettors who
That's
don't
like
really.
me.
But you're a wise guy too, Emerson. You blend both worlds here,
Bingo,
which
baby.
is what I love about you. But of course, to me, it's trying to be against the public money, but with the sharp money. And sharp money to me is coming from respected bettors who have a track record of success, who set their own numbers, who have influence over the books. Like if Floyd Mayweather bets $1 million on a game, he may not move the line because the books don't respect his action. But if Billy Walters bets, $1 million on a game, he's certainly going to move the line. So be with the sharp money. To me, you want to be against the public money.
I don't know if my 92-cent bonus bet is really, moving the lines like all that much. Also, books making out big when Travis Kelce didn't score the first touchdown. When Travis Kelce didn't score a touchdown at all, but that second half for Kelce was absolutely phenomenal. So now that we are warmed up, now that we are a little moist and a little sweaty, let's continue to work up a sweat here. So right now, what is something you are looking at today? Deliver your warm-up bet right now, please.
So my warm-up bet, Emerson, I'm going to go to a game here, Kansas and Oklahoma. I think it's a great college basketball slate.
And we have
today.
a great college basketball block coming up in this show, too. We'll dive even deeper into today's slate.
And I got a special one for you. Your alma mater is catching my eye,
Tasty,
UCF here.
tasty.
So really the one with me here working up a sweat with Kansas and Oklahoma is a classic situation here with a Ken Pom sound the alarm. Now, what does that mean? I always make the joke, woo, woo, Ken Pom sound the alarm. That means that when Ken Pom, who is the best when it comes to advanced analytics and predictions in college basketball, when he has a team winning a game outright based on his projection, yet they're a dog in the betting market, that's an auto bet for me. So when it comes to Kansas, Oklahoma, I like Oklahoma here, Emerson. If you can get a +2, you may be able to wait it out and get a 2.5 with the hook on this one. What I really like about this one is it's the Ken Pom sound the alarm. He has Oklahoma winning the game. But in particular, it is a massive contrarian play. Only right now, 21% of bets are taking Oklahoma. The public is all over Kansas in this spot. Higher ranking, better record. But Kansas has struggled on the road, Emerson. They're on the road. They're only 2-5. Oklahoma is 13-2 at home. It's a revenge spot. Oklahoma lost to Kansas on the road earlier this year. And just from the standpoint of inflated line value, like a lot of books open at one point, I think it was -1 Kansas. Now they're up to -2, even 2.5. It becomes a value play here. Maybe not the sharpest play in the world because you don't have an element of reverse line movement, steam move, line freeze, the kind of things we talk about for identifying sharp action. But to me, it's a value play. And we saw this earlier this week, Emerson. Northwestern played Rutgers. Ken Pom had Northwestern winning the game. Now, they didn't win the game. They blew it late, but they only lost by 3, and they were getting 4.5. So that was a value play. So to me, today, Emerson, I'm a big Sooners fan. Let's go Oklahoma. Ideally, 2.5 in the hook.
Okay, do you remember former Kentucky Wildcat Jacob Toppin?
That's right. And Obi is his brother, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
Obi is his brother. Obi won the dunk contest, I think it was 2021 or something like that. So Toppin, as I'm just delivering just kind of my half-ass warm-up bet here, is in the dunk contest tonight. He's one of 4 guys here. We're going to talk more about the odds with Julian Edlow coming up in this show. But I really like this guy kind of being a longer shot. Last year, everyone fell in love with Mac McClung. Heavy favorite. I think most of the money, a lot of money coming in, is on him to repeat, the 25-year-old, even though he's not even still playing in the NBA. He's playing an Osceola. So here we go. Toppin right now at plus, I can't see that, 500. So that's been bet down a little bit, I think, from plus 600 here. If you go back, and he's similar to McClung here, where he's only played, I think, 4 or 5 games in his NBA career. Just had career best, 11 points the other night. But if you go into his highlight reel in Kentucky, this guy was high-flying left and right. We know that the NBA dunk contest is in his blood after his brother won it. And I'm just saying, it's one of those things. Who expected McClung, for crying out loud, last year to win this thing? You want some better odds? Any of these dudes can win it, including Jaylen Brown, which we finally have an all-star in the dunk competition. So I don't know. Want better odds? Sprinkle a couple bucks on top in there because the guy, go on YouTube, look at his dunk contest reel or his dunk reel from his Kentucky days, and the guy's a high-flying assassin. I like his number. I like winning more money with those odds.
I love those odds, Emerson, too. I want to just ask you, we've seen it all in the dunk contest. Remember Gerald Green, when he blew out the candle, and Blake Griffin jumping over the car. You go back to the Michael Jordan days where he, took off from the free throw stripe. What do you think he can do, these new dunkers can do? Because to me, it's not just the dunk, it's the creativity. Yeah. It's almost like they award new ideas versus the actual dunk. So
and
if you were in it, Emerson, what would you do?
Jules and I, again, we'll talk about it coming up later in this show, but it was like McClung last year because the whole competition in general has lacked star power, which is why, to me, it was such a big deal that Jaylen Brown decided to take part in this thing. 4 players in it, and finally, we get an all-star in it. But McClung last year actually won the dunk contest because of his quality of dunks. And he was high-flying, it was sexy, it was like, how can a dude essentially that small get that high up above the rim? And Toppin's even bigger, and now he and his brother, Toppin can win tonight, have a chance to become the first brothers in NBA history to win the NBA dunk contest. I like it. You have guys flying over cars in the past, dressing up as Superman, jumping over dudes who are 2 feet taller than them. Let's go, man. It's when you can get creative tonight. It's the best part of All-Star Weekend in my eyes. And then you have Steph and Sabrina, which I'm also excited about.
Yeah, you mentioned Steph and Sabrina. There's a big favorite here for Steph Curry. He's minus 220. Sabrina's plus 160. I think a lot of the $5 bets are let's just bet Sabrina, see if she can win this thing. To your point, Emerson, just quickly, I know we got to get out of here.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown is a Celtics fan. I don't want him in the dunk contest. You've been banged up here recently.
No,
again, I hope you win it as a Celtics fan, but again, I don't want him to get re-injured.
Big games on tap, too, in the NHL. Let's dive into the slate. Connor Bedard is back after this. Welcome back to The Sweat, everybody, where it is time to put this show on ice. Anna Dua, Pete Jensen, show your faces, please. The dynamic duo from NHL.com. It is damn good to see both of you once again. Hey, Thursday night, the Penguins here spoiling Connor Bedard's return to the ice following a 14-game absence. Hey, he did record an assist in the loss, so the Blackhawks have that going for him, which is nice. So they host Ottawa this afternoon here, gang. Another team last in their division. Who here believes Bedard can help Chicago get the win at home? Anna, how about you?
I think Bedard can help Chicago. I think he's going to help the team overall, but I am still leaning with Ottawa on this one. Despite what the standings say, the Ottawa Senators have so much forward depth. They're top 10 in the league in goals per game this season, so I'm still rocking with the Senators in this one.
Oh, man. Pete, what say you? Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the Senators are still top 10 in the league in shots on goal per game as well. So, but just to touch on Chicago a little bit, I know Taylor Hall's done for the season, but they do have Seth Jones back. We haven't seen a lot of Seth Jones and Connor Bedard together. I actually thought with Bedard coming back, they would have put up more of a fight against the Penguins on Thursday. But again, they could catch some teams by surprise. They played the Rangers close recently. They knocked off the Islanders a couple of weeks ago and caused their coaching change directly. So don't sleep on the Blackhawks and the ripple effect of Bedard, who is right there. I mean, he's right there with Brock Faber among the rookie forward, obviously him being a forward, rookie scoring leaders in the league this season, despite missing like 15 games.
Yeah, where did this offense go, Pete, for Chicago? Is it just all so heavily relying upon Bedard? They've lost 8 straight. They've managed just like 9 goals in this stretch.
I mean, they just don't have anywhere near the forward depth of the good teams out there, or even compared to what we were talking about with Ottawa. Like, Ottawa has 3 strong lines rolling right now, and guys like Tarasenko playing on the third line, Shane Pinto. If you haven't noticed, I know he missed the first half of the season because of that betting-related suspension, but, I mean, he's back in full force and producing. He was one of the best rookies in the league last year. Fantasy, reality, DFS, you name it. That guy is worth slotting into your lineups the rest of the way for sure from Ottawa.
Hey, Anna, out in the Western Conference, so the game of the day, Oilers and Stars, who do you believe has the edge in this one?
I mean, it's a great matchup. The Dallas Stars currently are scoring the most goals per game in the NHL right now. Edmonton's 4th in that category, so it's going to be close. Dallas won their only game so far this season, but last year Edmonton won 2 out of 3 games. So I'm rocking with the Oilers in this one, guys. This team has been a brand new team ever since their coaching change. I like their futures appeal. I can't argue against Connor McDavid, so I'm going with the Oilers.
Okay, what about you, Pete?
I love what the Oilers have been doing over the past, 2-3 months of the season, but Dallas here and now is red hot.
Wow.
I mean, they've won 3 in a row. They've won 7 out of 8. They're almost invincible since Jake Ottinger came back from injury. They dropped 9 goals at Nashville. That's a tough place to play and an impressive feat. So I just look at Dallas's secondary scoring at being a little bit more superior. Obviously, the top guns on Edmonton are better than anyone's, but look at what like Tyler Sagan's doing this season, leading the Stars in even strength goals. Wyatt Johnston is the real deal in his second season. Matt Duchene's a great secondary scorer. Thomas Harley's among the defenseman leaders in goals this season. So, I mean, they're wealthy right now and super deep heading into the stretch run.
Yeah, and there was a little bit of time there where Ottinger didn't seem himself between the pipes, too, but he seems to have been rock solid since. There was that stretch where he allowed, I think, like 16 goals across 4 starts. That was between January 18th and 27th, but good to see him back together in the crease here. Anna, great matchup in the East as well. So we're talking Florida heading to Tampa, which Tampa is in Florida, so the Panthers and the Lightning here. Can the Lightning gain a couple points on the Panthers in the Atlantic?
The battle of your state, Emerson.
Yeah, that's right. The battle,
right
the
now,
Florida man, baby.
Exactly. But I really like the Florida Panthers in this one. I don't know. That team is just looking really good right now. They've won 4 straight. Matthew Tkachuk is very much back. I know some people had their doubts. He has 9 points in his past 4 games. Carter Verhaeghe has 4 goals in his past 6 games. So I like the Panthers in this one. I think Florida keeps that momentum going.
Okay, any chance you want to back the Lightning here, Pete?
I did want to mention how good Brandon Hagel has been lately, and he's like top 10 in the league in even strength points. And obviously played a large chunk of the early season with the scoring leader Nikita Kucherov and Braden Point as the third wheel on that line. But lately he's been balancing their scoring and providing them with some nice depth on the second line with Cirelli and Nick Paul. So again, Tampa Bay is not the dominant force that they've been in recent years where they were rolling three strong lines. They've been mostly a one-line team, but this has given them a little bit more breathing room and cushion here for the stretch run. They're still in the playoff conversation. Big injury, unfortunately, to Mikhail Sergachev kind of, puts a dent into that team a little bit, but they've been responding well in his absence so far.
What can you say about Sam Reinhart's performance as well? This is a contract year, and I would say, Pete, he's probably in the thick of the Rocket Richard Trophy conversation, is he not?
Yeah, I mean, I still think Matthews is going to run away with this thing. He's got a 6-goal lead after his 5th hat trick of the season. Ridiculous. I mean, that is just ridiculous in the modern era. So Matthews might be like a 65, 70 goal guy this year with 45 through his first 51. But yeah, I mean, Sam Reinhart has been in second for almost 2 months here. I mean, it was just a hot start, but now it's continued in the second quarter of the season. So you got to take this guy seriously. Kucherov's in third, 3 behind Reinhart. So kind of fun to see two of those guys, 2 of the top 3 goal scorers in the league, facing off here in this matchup.
Yeah, Matthews, first player since 2006 to have at least 5 hat tricks in a season. Anna, this is unbelievable. And it feels like we're running out of words to describe just how damn good this guy is at hockey.
I mean, if you're from Toronto, I think you have a lot of words to describe.
There she is.
I know. Now we're talking about my hometown, but obviously Auston Matthews is speaking for himself with the way he's playing right now. I think it's his trophy to lose. He's having an unreal year and definitely been the bright spot for the Maple Leafs so far because they have some concerns of their own in terms of their back end right now.
Okay, so let's go to the game of the day that is not played indoors. Stadium Series here. I believe both of you will be there later this afternoon. So Philly and New Jersey at MetLife Stadium. What are you most looking forward to in this one, Anna?
I mean, no shocker here. I'm going to be a little bit biased, obviously. I'm excited to see the New Jersey Devils playing this outdoor game. Sorry, guys. I have to say it. I'm on their broadcast, but it's technically not a home game for New Jersey. I know all of the 4 teams are playing on an even playing field, but it is in New Jersey. So the Devils are the only team that actually get to play in their home state in this one. I love the back-to-back. It's great to see all of the teams in this area get to play against each other outdoors. Great stadium. I'm just so excited to see it all come together.
I mean, Pete, you guys live in that area there. Is there a little more of a hockey feeling in the air? Are you feeling people bring that energy a little more, at least the hockey heads that you know?
Absolutely. Yeah, been running into people, even some friends that are going to be out there. It's going to encompass the area a little bit, even more than the one did when they played at Yankee Stadium about 10 years ago. So I think it's even more exciting. It's a bigger stadium. It's involving the Jersey and Philly team. And with Philly, I'm just looking for their structure to help them prevail potentially. 3rd fewest shots on goal allowed per game this year. That's John Tortorella. That's the system. And it could break the New Jersey Devils here. I think with how Travis Konechny's playing, Joel Farabee, Samuel Ersson, despite the unfortunate situation going on with Carter Hart not being with the team really. So Ersson has quietly been one of the top 3 or 4 rookies in the entire league this year. So the Flyers are going to ride him here.
All right. Well, before we wrap up this segment, let's dish out some DFS advice for the people watching at home. Anna, I'll let you go first here. Give me a forward you like up front. You're going to pay up for someone? You're going to go down the board a little bit? Talk to me.
I'm going Matt Boldy, Minnesota Wild. He's been my forward to watch right now. 3-game point streak, 3 goals, 7 points in the span. Despite the way the Minnesota Wild look in the standings, I think they have a lot of key pieces in their offense. And Matt Boldy's one you can get for a pretty decent price.
Okay, talk to me, Pete. Who do you like up top?
I like Uri Slavkovsky from the Canadiens. I feel like he's getting overlooked despite the fact that he was the number 1 pick in the draft 2 seasons ago. Kind of fell short in his first year, dealt with some injury, but now he's up top where he belongs with 2 really quality scorers in Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. 14 points in his past 12 games for Slav. This is the best stretch of this young kid's career. You love to see it.
All right, less than a minute to go in this segment. Hook me up with your defenseman du jour, Pete.
Yeah, so I alluded to him earlier a little bit, but Thomas Harley, just what he's doing goal scoring wise, he's up into the 30-point realm overall. But yeah, he's among the league leaders in goals this season. He's got 13, tied for third behind only Mackenzie Weegar and Rasmus Dahlin. I love Weegar for that category coverage, fist pump that you can get there from him. But Harley is probably a little cheaper and just a little bit more under the radar what he's doing.
All right. You two will be back on this show tomorrow morning. We're going to dive more into the Stadium Series and some big storylines cooking right now around the NHL. But we got to take a break. All-Star Weekend around the NBA is here. Julian Edlow is here as well. Let's talk some best bets, who he's targeting in tonight's slam dunk contest. Jaylen Brown is back, baby. Welcome back to The Sweat, everybody. NBA All-Star Weekend is here, and so is Julian Edlow and his vomit green sweatshirt.
DraftKings.
It looks great. You can go on the DK shop right now and buy this beautiful sweatshirt. It's good to see you.
Glad
How
you
are
like
you?
it.
How are you? You doing all right?
Good. It's All-Star Weekend. It's
It
a nice
is.
break from the NBA daily grind, but still some fun things to bet.
That's right. There are tons of fun things to bet. So all the festivities there in Indianapolis, which first time I believe the city's hosting the game since '85, getting underway last night. You had the Rising Stars Challenge, the Celebrity All-Star Game. Now, while the actual All-Star Game is tomorrow, many bettors like yourself have their sights set on tonight's three-point contest, also the slam dunk competition. Damian Lillard, the defending champ of the three-point competition. He's going to be going at it again, this time as a member of the Milwaukee Bucks here, Jules. Your bet has to do with another dude, though, in this competition. Who is it?
Yeah, I'm going to go down the board here a little bit. I'm going to look at Lauri Markkanen, who is plus 650. The only guy behind him is Donovan Mitchell. It's at 7-1. Generally, when you're betting these things, a three-point shootout, everybody can shoot the ball in this.
Yeah.
You want to go down the board and get good plus money. I'm not going to start looking at favorites. Even though the price difference not that much, Lillard favored, at a little shorter than 5-1. But for me, big guys have been doing well in this lately. Big men have been kind of, getting into the skills competition, getting into the three-point shootout. We remember Karl Anthony Towns recently. So Markkanen's shooting 40% from downtown. He's having a fantastic season shooting the ball. Bigger guys, maybe you use a little bit less energy getting around from rack to rack, getting around the arc. So you look, Lillard's a great shooter. Wouldn't shock me if you want. Halliburton has the hometown narrative, although we'll see if that form that everybody talks about, he knocks it down in the game. We'll see if that creates any issues in a three-point shootout type of situation. Trae Young, plenty of capable players of winning it. But I want to go to a guy that's shooting just as well as any of them, who's better than 6-1.
I'm also excited for Steph and Sabrina to have their NBA WNBA shootout. That should be a good time.
Sabrina said she wanted to shoot from the NBA line, and apparently they're not. She has to shoot the WNBA ball from the WNBA line. Which, if that is the case, better than 2-1. I don't mind taking it.
Yeah, Giannis actually said earlier this week, he's like, I'm putting all my money on Sabrina.
Maybe not all, but some.
yeah, right? Listen to Jules, not Giannis.
Bankroll management, people.
Let's get to the slam dunk contest, because this is really the most exciting showcase of the weekend, in my opinion. And last year, G Leaguer Mac McClung winning it all, becoming a household name. He's trying to become the first repeat winner since, I believe it was Zach LaVine, 2015, 2016. So the 25-year-old is currently playing for the Osceola Magic of the G League. He's averaging
your neck of the woods.
It is, yes. Lots of nice people down in that neck of the woods for sure, Jules.
Including Mac McClung.
Yep. So talk to me here and how you're going to navigate the four guys and their odds in this competition.
Opening price on Mac McClung was probably fair. Now he's a name in this competition. Yeah. He's getting bet up as such, 2-1 range. So heavy favorite. I don't know if I can necessarily go there. Jaylen Brown is intriguing.
Ooh, that's your guy. That's why you're in the green today.
Yeah, maybe. Not exactly Celtic green here. But so Jaylen Brown sat out on Wednesday night for the Celtics, last game before the break. So now is he injured? My belief is that they might have even just been giving him some rest to get ready for the dunk contest.
Turns out they didn't need him anyway.
As silly as that sounds. Yeah, they won by 50, so resting Jaylen Brown. Not the end of the world in Boston. But is, having an all-star in the competition for the first time in 7 years since 2017, is there any extra juice to that? At the same time, Jaylen Brown has never competed in a dunk contest in his life, he says, not even in high school or anything. So Jaylen Brown, I'm warming up to. I want to make sure he's fully healthy. This is generally something I'm going to bet right before the contest. So follow along on Twitter. I'll put out a play on it. The guy that I'm not going to bet is Jaime Jaquez Jr. Love the dude. He's the third best rookie this year behind Wembanyama and Brandon Miller. Jaquez is the third guy in Rookie of the Year odds, and he deserves to be. Not a dunk contest guy. Toppin, I'll have my eye on Jacob Toppin a little bit as a dark horse if I do go outside the box. Super athletic, obviously Obi Toppin's brother. We see what he does in games. But Jacob Toppin, a former Rhode Island Ram for a year before he made a terrible decision to transfer to Kentucky. Why would you go play basketball at Kentucky when you could be a Rhode Island Ram?
Yeah, we know Kentucky's a big letdown for you.
They let me down recently, and they let Jacob Toppin down. He should have stayed at URI. Rody. He's an athletic dude.
Okay.
He's capable of winning this. So if I go outside the box, it'll be Toppin.
I mean, hopefully Jaylen Brown taking part in this kind of changes the trend of how it's lacked star power, this contest, for so many years now.
That's the big narrative. Last year, Mac McClung saved it with the actual dunks.
Yes.
The dunks had been bad for a few years. So Mac McClung's actual performance saved it. Now we can see if we can take it a step further a year later and get an all-star like Jaylen Brown to do some things we haven't seen before and win the competition.
Okay, in terms of tomorrow night's all-star game here, is this a situation where, like, do you bet this game now, Jules, or do you kind of wait to see if you can get a better number, even maybe after tip-off?
Yeah, all-star betting live has been pretty good because, like, so the total is, above 360.
Yeah.
So if there's a team that's up
Freaking
15, like betting them in a regular season game to come back from 15 down is like, oh, we'll see if we do it. 15 points is going to be erased one way or the other, constantly, much quicker, with much more ease. So don't be afraid of getting invested. Like if a live line, if a team's up, so the West is favored. If the West is up 15, an underdog down 15 in the regular season, you're getting like plus 13.5, plus 14.5 there. If it gets in that range in a game like this, you take it because those points are going to be erased more quickly. So that's how I'm looking at betting the side. Just if a team goes down early and there's a ton of game left, I'll look at taking them with the points as a dog. Total-wise, we have to mention the format because in 2020, they went to the Elam ending, which was there's no fourth quarter. You just the target score is 24 points above what the winner has, and you try and get to that. Honor Kobe, and they did that for what would that be? 3-4 years. Yep. Now it's gone. They're going back to traditional East versus West, and it's just a regular fourth quarter. So the game had been going well under this mark for the last 4 years, but that's because the fourth quarter's tightened up, and there's only a certain amount of points you could get to. Now, if this game is out of hand, like the pace is going to keep going, maybe with some of the backups in. This might be a year to come back on the over. If you look at the scores, the last year before the Elam ending started, it was in Charlotte, Team LeBron versus Team Giannis, 178 to 164. 2 years before that in Louisiana, in New Orleans, Louisiana, 198 to 182 Western Conference wins. So they were going well over this mark. So it's going to start fast. That's where you would look to bet back the under, let it start fast, and then try and come under. I don't mind betting the over pre-flop, though, because, people are going to have their minds on the Elam ending. This is going to be a much faster finish than we're accustomed to.
Kind of important details to know before you go in there and start hammering
rules.
away on bets.
Got to know the rules before you bet.
The DraftKings Sportsbook, which, by the way, you can look at a lot of futures bets. You can check out a lot of futures bets right now. Is there one that sticks out to you?
So I'm looking at the Sixers at 5-1 to miss the playoffs.
Ooh,
we've been talking
baby.
Embiid MVP, now ineligible. We've been talking Maxey, MIP, most improved player. He was out to as far as 750. He's now coming back. The Sixers are dinged up. I know they got Buddy Hield, but they just lost the short-handed Heat before in their last game before the break, lost by 5. They did beat the Cavs and Wizards prior to that, but, Warriors lost, Hawks lost, Mavericks lost, Nets lost. They've been dropping some games, and Embiid, what if Embiid isn't back in a month? What if it's 2 months? Well, now that's the end of the regular season. We're right near it. So what if they don't have Embiid for the rest of the regular season? The Sixers are sitting in the 5 seed in the Eastern Conference. Drop 2 seeds. Now you're in the play-in tournament. What if Embiid's rusty? What if you lose in the play-in tournament? I just think at 5-1, I assume the Sixers are going to make the playoffs. But at 5-1, there are some routes that they could slide. And if you have 5-1 and they're in the play-in tournament, plenty of wiggle room to hedge if you're uncomfortable letting it ride. I just think the way this is trending, we were talking about the Sixers as a 1 seed. Now they're down at 5, and we don't know when Embiid's coming back. It's a good plus number. And with Embiid out of the MVP conversation, do you have a lean right now? Because you see Joker in there as the heavy favorite, minus 165, SGA, Giannis, and then Luka's at plus 1,100. Yeah, Jokic is probably going to be the right play again unless he gets hurt. The straw poll on ESPN just came out. It was heavy to Jokic. That's very telling. I'm not betting the guys in the middle, though. The Tatums, the Doncic's, the Giannis's.
No,
I'm not
because,
betting
after
them.
Doncic, it's a huge drop-off. Kawhi's plus 5,000, then
So,
Tatum plus 6,000.
There we go. I want Kawhi
Okay.
at 50 to 1. Jalen Brunson, if he can get the Knicks back to a top 2 seed, even steeper down the board. And real quick, I do want to touch on most improved.
Okay,
I have a
go ahead.
Jonathan Kuminga ticket at 60 to 1. He's now shorter than 10 to 1. I still think you can get in there. Everyone's giving the award to Maxey. What if the Sixers have that slip that we just talked about and Kuminga keeps playing at the level that he's been playing at? Since January 12th, when Steve Kerr decided I'm finally going to play him minutes, 22.2 points per game, 6 boards, almost 3 assists in the last 15 games.
Jules, that's how you do what
That's
you
how
just
you
did.
do All-Star
Thanks,
Weekend.
big man. We're going to switch gears. We're going to throw on our singlets coming up because Steve's going to give us the lowdown on what's cooking in the world of AEW next. Back here on The Sweat, everybody. Guess which betting markets are live on the DraftKings Sportsbook right now? Oscars. Let's go. It's in about 3 weeks from now, Sunday, March 10th. Best Picture, everybody. That's a big one, I'm told. Oppenheimer, big favorite here, minus 900. Josh, you've seen this movie. I haven't seen it because it's 7 hours long, and I know history, and I know what happens in the movie. Do you really think it deserves to be that big of a favorite?
Excellent movie. I would highly recommend it. Minus 900, though, too expensive, Emerson.
Too expensive?
It's not worth betting.
Okay.
Too much.
All right, well, speaking of too expensive, Christopher Nolan's minus 10,000 for Best Director here. Hey, you got 10,000 bucks? Throw it down on him. You'll probably win $100 in return because it's set. This movie did tons of box office records, right? Which is why he's in this position.
Exactly. Great screenplay, great writing, awesome movie.
Let's go to actor, actress here. So we'll start with Best Actor. My God, Oppenheimer is freaking everywhere.
More bettable number, though, Emerson. Cillian Murphy, only minus 280.
All right, here's where I like Best Actress, Emma Stone. She's like an Academy darling here. She won for La La Land, was that back 5-6 years ago, whenever the hell that was, minus 165. But we were talking off camera a little bit. Lily Gladstone here could become the first Native American to win an Oscar, so maybe that's where the Academy decides to go here.
Real quick, Emerson, hit visuals.
Visuals?
And then we're going to go to makeup and costume right here. Okay. Maestro, minus 330. No such thing as a lock in sports betting. That's a lock right there. Leonard Bernstein,
wow,
incredible.
You're not supposed
the way he got
to say,
transformed.
You're not supposed to say lock. So anywho, speaking of acting, we have Steve Buchanan, who got to catch up with an AEW Superstar during his time at the Super Bowl last week. Check this out.
Welcome back here. I am so incredibly excited to be joined by Anthony Bowen's one half of the acclaimed 1/3.
I was about to say 1/3.
AEW World Trios Champion. My man, it is so great to have you on the show here with DraftKings. Thank you for joining us here.
Thank you for having
me. First and foremost, you've already said you've had a busy day here. Vegas, in or out on Vegas?
So actually, I had an epiphany this morning.
Okay.
Because I was very much out.
Okay.
We go to Vegas every year for Double or Nothing, which is fantastic. It's great. But a week in Vegas I can't do it anymore.
No, man.
I can't do it anymore.
It's 3-day max.
Yes.
And then they told me, oh, you're going to be here from Sunday to Monday. I said, oh, my Lord. Like, what am I going to do to get through this?
It's a lot. But I was driving I was in the Uber to the gym this morning, and I started looking around. I drove past the T-Mobile Arena. I was like, I wrestled in that building. And then I looked at the MGM Grand. I was like, my face was on that marquee.
Yeah.
And then I realized how lucky I am to be in like one of the entertainment capitals of the world and to have all those kinds of experiences. I'm very lucky to be on this journey.
So I'm glad you brought that up here, because let's talk about your journey here, because primarily when you started, you were kind of hanging in the Northeast territories for a while, correct?
Yes.
How does it feel to come back here? Because yesterday Tony Khan made the big announcement, we're going to do big business in Boston where I'm from, so I'm really excited about that. How does it feel to kind of come back there and be on those bigger stages at like a TD Garden in Boston?
It's amazing, especially when the place is packed out. You get that live audience. It's insane. And then we had Wembley Stadium in the UK back in August. Over 81,000 people won these in front of over 81,000 people. There's nothing like that adrenaline being in front of an audience. And the AEW crowds are always very special. They're always very loud. They're very passionate fan base. It's my high point of the week getting out there.
So you've been with AEW. It's going to be 4 years, I believe, this year. It's going to be that you're with AEW. Just kind of go through, what are some of your favorite matches that you've been through? Like, if I had an opinion, when you guys faced Swerve in Your Glory at All Out, I think it was 2 years ago.
Yes.
That was an unbelievable match. What's something that you really like? That match was special to me.
There's so many of them. I mean, that one, obviously, because that was what really launched us in Chicago.
Yes.
That Chicago crowd was insane with those Scissor McDaddy chants. Wembley was insane. I really enjoyed the dumpster match.
Oh, of course.
Against the Guns, which, we're with the Bang Bang Scissor Gang now. We're back together. We put that in our past. But I think, honestly, that was the first match, too, before All Out, that kind of really pushed people towards us.
Yep.
And the first time, we had, a really big featured storyline that was made by us. You know what I mean? It's us and the Guns. We created this entire positive atmosphere, and we get this match on Dynamite. Our match against FTR was fantastic.
Sure.
And one that stands out, I actually talked about it 3 times today.
Okay.
was against Sting.
Of course.
And that was a special night because I got into wrestling because of Sting. I saw him in commercials. It was him versus Hulk Hogan, Starrcade 97.
Yep.
And that's what really drew me into wrestling. So life coming full circle.
Yep.
on my wrestling anniversary in the same city in Washington, D.C., we wrestled Sting and main evented Dynamite against them. And it was electric. It was so much fun.
So you grew up watching Sting, but also at the same time, you're working with somebody that I'm sure you also watched growing up with, Billy Gunn, obviously.
Yes.
What is it like to be like, you're watching that person on TV? You admire what they do. It's like, this is what I want to do. Now you're backstage, you're with this guy, you're working with him in the ring. Like, that is just going to be such a full circle moment for you.
It's insane. Billy was my figure fed champion at one point. And now he's my dad.
Amazing how that worked out.
Isn't that crazy how life works?
Yeah.
But now he's my wrestling dad, and a go-to figure of important advice.
Yep.
He's a wrestling encyclopedia. I call him a beacon of light because he's guided us in such a positive upward trending projection. He's fun to be around. He's fun to talk with.
Yep.
I love laughing when he gets angry, which probably makes him even more angry.
Sure.
But I'm his kid. I have to give my parents some shit.
And he'll give you a little, and then you give him a little back. And I think it's a good, healthy relationship.
Yes,
that we
good
have
banter
here,
we have.
without a doubt. You're obviously a big sports guy.
Yes.
I know that you are a big MLB guy.
Mm-hmm.
Once upon a time, you actually worked at MLB Network.
Yes, I did.
In the production room, correct?
Yes.
I did a lot with MLB Network over the past 3 years. I'd go on there. We talk like betting and stuff with Robert Flores, who I've seen you on there with.
Roflo,
Yeah,
yes.
Roflo. Love that guy. You're a Giants fan.
Huge.
How are you feeling about the upcoming season now that the Dodgers have just completely suffocated the whole league? Diamondbacks are improving, young team.
Yes.
And really all the Giants have done so far. Traded for Robbie Ray, signed Jordan Hicks. It's been a pretty quiet offseason.
So I'm unlike most fans. I stick with my team no matter what.
There you go. Dave, we'd love to hear that. You got to stick with your team.
I support the San Francisco Giants no matter what, so I'm excited for baseball season to start.
Yeah.
Even in our most abysmal years, I was excited to watch Giants baseball because I've been through it all. I've been a fan since I was 2000 when JT Snow hit that home run against off of Armando Benitez.
Yep.
And then Barry went off and hit the 73 home runs in 2000. I was like, this team is awesome. And we suffered the heartbreak in 2002, but then right up to the dynasty in 2010, 2012, 2014, all special moments in my life that I got to share with my dad. We used to go see the Giants and Barry every single year at a different stadium, all the time in Philadelphia. I just have so many memories with the team that I just cherish every time I get to see them.
That is so rare to hear now because, I'm from Boston.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's jumping off the Patriots bandwagon because they're absolutely horrific now. Nobody wants anything to do with that team.
No Belichick, no Brady.
No Belichick, no Brady. Cam Newton came and went.
Yeah.
You are the definition of a true fan who is there between thick and thin.
That's right.
You are a model citizen when it comes to being a fan there. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the model citizen right there. But
I'm going to give a hand for myself.
Let's go, baby. Come on. But truly, how do you feel like this team is going to perform? Do you have high expectations? So we're obviously a gambling company, DraftKings Sportsbook.
Sure.
The win total for them for the year is set at 81.5. So basically saying this is going to be at or just slightly above a 500 team. Do you think that's reasonable?
Put all of your money on the Giants.
We just heard it right here. We just heard it right here.
I think the history of San Francisco Giants, in their history, a lot of our teams were the underdog teams.
Sure.
We had a lot of scrappy guys that came in, like the Freddie Sanchez's of the world, the back end of their career, Pat Burrells, that came in and really helped the Giants. With clutch hits.
Yeah.
The Travis Ishikawa, walk-off home run.
I haven't heard that name forever.
So I think we're here to compete. Or even when we won the 104 games the other year, like no one thought that was going to be a thing. We're always the underdog team, especially against the big bad Los Angeles Dodgers this year. I'm excited to get a couple sweeps under.
Was that in 2002 when they won that many games, or 2022 when that happened, when they won those 100-something games?
Was it 2021?
It's fairly recent.
Yes,
because I remember that's when I was on MLB Network all the time, and I kept saying, "No, the Giants are going to come. They're going to get back to normal. They're playing over their heads." They're playing over their heads, and then it was getting to like July and August, and I'm like, This is just them. It's just them. Like, I can't keep saying this anymore. They've been so incredibly good here. Other than Barry Bonds, who's been your favorite Giants player in your
when I was a kid, it was Barry Bonds and JT Snow.
Okay.
Because, JT Snow was the first moment.
Yeah.
So it was those two guys. I used to love Rich Aurelia, too. And then as time went on, I was a big Tim Lincecum fan.
Sure.
I was at the stadium for Matt Cain's first ever, his debut in the Major League, so I always supported Matty. Who else? I love Brandon Bell. I'm sad that he left. I know some people...
I think he's with Toronto still,
yes,
right?
He's with Toronto.
Right, yep.
I mean, really, everybody.
Sure.
I love them all. Crawford.
It's just a likable team.
Yeah.
Can we do it?
Would you like to scissor?
I would
live
love to do it.
right now.
We got to do it, baby. Let's
all right,
do
here we
it.
go. Oh, we got to warm up. Warm them up. You don't want to strain anything.
Nope.
Oh, scissor me, baby!
Let's go, baby! Anthony Bowen from the acclaimed AEW. Thank you so much, man.
Thank you for having me.
Pleasure. You got it. We'll be right back here on The Sweat.
folks, kicking off the second hour of the Sweat here. Second and final hour, yes, a 2-hour program. We're going to dive into some college basketball bets right now. This is for our new friend of the program, Maggie, who's dialed in, who has battled through our Oscar segment, AEW, NBA All-Star Weekend. She's not a fan. That's okay, because Josh is here to help you, Maggie, and everyone else out there trying to build a money-making betting card on another jam-packed Saturday around college basketball. Selection Sunday, almost exactly 1 month away. A lot of talk about bubble teams. Couple teams not too worried about making it as of right now are part of this fancy graphic of the latest rankings and where these teams sit today. So we have number 1 UConn against 4th-ranked Marquette, 3 o'clock Eastern time this afternoon. And then number 6 Kansas and number 25 Oklahoma. Another juicy game here, Josh. And we're talking 2 teams coming off their worst conference performances of the season. Which one are you backing to get back on track here?
Give me the Sooners here, Emerson. I really like Oklahoma in this spot. This one, to me, a few reasons to like the Sooners in this spot. Number 1, this is a huge public play toward Kansas. This is one of the most heavily bet games of the day. Almost 80% of bets are going with Kansas. So just from the standpoint of heavily bet game, I want to bet against the public, not be with the public. You have that contrarian angle. But then, really to make the smartest bet that you can make, you don't want to just be contrarian. You want to incorporate some sharp action as well. And I can see this sharp action kind of based on some buyback here coming back to the Sooners. You had a lot of books open Kansas -1. It got up to -2. I mentioned at the outset, Emerson, maybe you can find the hook on the 2.5. I don't know if you can find that anymore. It's come back to 2, and it's pretty much -110 on both sides. So I'm wondering if we actually get down to 1.5. So I'm thinking grab the 2 now with Oklahoma if you want to take this contrarian play. Only 20% of bets, but almost 40% of the money is on Oklahoma. Also mentioned earlier, but Ken Pom has Oklahoma winning this game.
Yeah,
and our very
Kansas has a miserable road record.
They've been terrible, Emerson. You're totally right. 2-5 on the road. Meanwhile, Oklahoma 13-2 at home. Our buddy Greg Hoops Peterson, who does a great job at VSiN, he also has Oklahoma favored in this game. So I think it's a good opportunity to take the 2. Again, don't get greedy. You may not find the hook anymore. This is a revenge spot as well. Super contrarian. Ken Pom sound the alarm. I'm going Sooners +2.
All right, let's talk some Creighton Butler here, because this Big East battle is a rematch of one of the games of the year. So back on February 2nd here, Butler outlasted Creighton in Omaha by a score of 99-98. But for Butler, that game was kind of a true outlier when it comes to shooting here. They shot 55% from the field and a whopping 59% from 3, and still only won by a single point. So what do we expect in this rematch?
I'm taking the points of the home team here as well, Emerson. Give me Butler in this spot. You mentioned how obviously that they had the huge upset earlier this year against Creighton, so maybe going into this game with some confidence, having beaten them earlier. But this is just another huge contrarian play with a value opportunity. Right now you're getting 77% of bets on Creighton. Public's loading up on the ranked team against the unranked team. But we're kind of looking at a bit of a line freeze here. I mean, you had some books open as high as Creighton -3.5. We're now down to 3. At one point, it even got down to 2.5, I think, this morning. You're kind of hanging around the 3 right now. I think if you want to wait this thing out, it is the early game, 12:30 p.m., but you may be able to find the hook on the +3.5 with Butler here. But Emerson, I like betting unranked teams versus ranked teams when they're a really contrarian, unpopular home dog. If you look at unranked versus ranked opportunities, they're 54% against the spread the last 2 seasons. That may not sound very impressive, but remember, the magic number in betting, Emerson, is 52.38%. That's what you got to make to beat the juice and become profitable. What I like about Butler in particular, aside from being the unpopular dog here with some sharp movement, is that they're a dog who can score system match. If I'm going to bet on a dog in a spread sport, I want a dog that can put up points, almost like the Lions in that playoff game against San Francisco.
Yep.
And if you can score, you're a better chance here of covering the number. Butler is averaging 80 points per game. They have the better free throw percentage, better offensive rebound percentage. They're 11-3 at home this year. And again, they did beat Creighton earlier this season. So I would hold out for a 3.5, try to get the hook. If not, I'm going +3 with Butler.
We got Big Ten play rolling on. So Wisconsin's going to be on the road here to face Iowa. Now, Wisconsin really looked the part as like a national contender, really as little as 2 weeks ago here, Josh. But since then, how about this? The Badgers have lost 4 of their last 5 games, including all 3 of their true road games to Nebraska, Michigan, and Rutgers.
This screams fishy line here, Emerson. I really like Iowa in this spot. Let me ask you this, Emerson. Wisconsin 17-8, they're ranked 20th.
Okay.
Flip side, Iowa 14-11, unranked.
Okay.
Yet this is basically a pick'em game. This is like a -1.
You tell me here, dude.
I mean, to me, right off the bat, don't even dig deeper, and we will dig deeper into percentages, line move system matches, but right off the bat, why is Wisconsin laying such a short number? I mean, they're -1. I see one book even down closer toward a pick'em here. That just makes no sense. It's fishy. You would think that the play would be, Wisconsin, I don't know, -3, -4. The fact that it's so low tells me that the public might be walking into a trap here, just saying the easy play is Wisconsin. Yet, we have seen this line at one point. It was +1.5 down to +1 in favor of Iowa. It's another contrarian play here. You're getting 70% of bets on Wisconsin. Flip it the other way, Iowa's only getting 30% bets, but nearly 60% of the money. So using those VSiN bet splits from DraftKings, looks like you're only getting a third of bets, but more than half the money. Tells me the money's coming from bigger, sharper wagers here. Another dog who can score system match. Iowa, not the greatest defensive team, but they can get up and down the court and score. They're averaging 84 points per game versus 74 for Wisconsin. They take better care of the ball. Iowa is 8th in the country in terms of turnover percentage, so they don't turn it over very often. Another unranked versus ranked opportunity, 54% ATS. And you mentioned home road, Emerson. Iowa 11-3 at home. Wisconsin 3-6 on the road. They just haven't traveled very well.
Nope.
I would hold out for 1.5. If not, I'll take the 1. I mean, you could even consider a money line play, but I'll take the point if you can get it just on the off chance they lose by 1.
If you're a fan of hard-fought defensive games, Cincinnati at UCF, America's team, is the game for you. Going down in O-Town, everybody. And UCF, Josh, been a pretty good moneymaker this season. 14-9-0 ATS. So take me inside that big beefy brain of yours, please.
I'm going to your alma mater here. UCF, baby.
My
Not
man.
only did we have this game on our radar walking into the office today, but they've become sharper since we've been on the air, Emerson.
Ooh.
Because this game opened UCF at home, getting about a point and a half.
Oh,
when we walked
that's
in,
Maggie out there placing bets on this game.
Maggie's
listening to
causing
us.
scene. By the way, Maggie bets with her husband. I wish I could do that. My wife doesn't care at all about my bets.
I was going to say, you have a wife, not a husband.
Exactly, that's true.
So you
But
can't bet
either
with
way,
your
your
husband.
significant other, it's great when they can enjoy your passion with you. I think, you bet together, you stay together. Anyway, Cincinnati was -1.5 walking in this morning. It got down to a pick'em. Now we've hopped the fence and gone to UCF at -1. So we now qualify as some dog to fave line move. Emerson, right now 60% bets, but 75% of the money is on UCF. They're not a contrarian play, but that dog to fave line move tells me a lot of wise guys here are going UCF. They're 11th in defensive efficiency. You were noting this earlier.
Yeah,
which alma mater's good at D.
Yeah, which has led to wins against Kansas, Texas, and Oklahoma. Their problem is offensive efficiency. So what is 47.7% effective field goal percentage? That's 278th in the country. Not great, Bob.
Not great, but they're going up against Cincinnati, who again is more of a defensive
that's great.
team.
They're
which,
worse.
Yeah, it might be worse here. And the other angle here, Emerson, you mentioned it. They've been playing really good competition recently. UCF. Their last 4 games have all been against ranked teams. Now they've lost 3 of 4. But they played elite competition, and they've hung in these games. I mean, you only lose by 2 to BYU. You lost by 7 to Texas Tech, 8 to Baylor. You beat Oklahoma. So even though the record looks like they're kind of in a tailspin here, they played against elite competition. Now they're at home. This is a revenge spot. Keep an eye on that. In these matchups, these teams are now playing each other for the second time oftentimes. It's hard to run the table and beat a team twice in one season. I lean at, kind of the revenge angle here, the fact that UCF lost to Cincinnati earlier this year, 68-57. So I'm taking UCF here, Emerson. If you got the 1, you're feeling great right now. Now that you're -1, it's a money line bet. I'm not going to mess around with a 1-point win and push. Money line UCF.
All right, you want to talk Colorado and USC as well. Just a few weeks ago, we all remember, there was buzz surrounding Colorado because the Buffs had a real shot, everyone believed, at contending for the Pac-12 title here. However, in their last 5 games, they've gone 1-4, including a 20-point loss to Arizona, which has sent them tumbling down the standings here.
So I'm so disappointed in Colorado. I bet them in the last 2 games. They got blown out by Arizona.
Yeah.
Then they go to UCLA.
I remember that.
Because I was in Vegas. It ruined one of my nights in Vegas.
I also put a couple bucks on that game.
Yes,
Colorado took them on the money line against
That's right.
Arizona. I said, hey, Josh, what are you feeling tonight?
So
and yes,
I
you owe me
you
$5.
I owe you, and I'll give you that $5. I'll give you a little juice on that, too. And we're going to get our revenge today because we're going to bet against Colorado. I like UCLA here, Emerson, or USC. This game opened Colorado, -2. It's down to -1.5, even though Colorado's getting 71% of bets. I think the public, and again, you got to remember, football's over now. Public's going to transition to college basketball. They're going to bet with their bias and looking at win-loss records. So Colorado's 16-9. They're only laying a 1.5 against USC, who's 10-15. Easy plays to take Colorado. However, despite 7 out of 10 bets on Colorado, we've fallen -2 to 1.5. You look at this spot here, Colorado as well. They've lost 4 of 5. Emerson, Colorado on the road this year is 1-7. They just have not traveled well.
I'm out on them.
I'm out too. And also, USC, I keep saying UCLA.
Yeah,
USC, I'm screwing up my West Coast teams here, Emerson. But USC,
Same
they're only
city.
10-15, but they're getting healthier. They're playing better as of late. They finally have a team that, and again, I think in the preseason they had one of the best recruits overall in college basketball. They're finally gelling a little bit. They're winning some games. They're playing better. 1-7 on the road, Colorado, 7-5 at home for USC. So I'm taking USC in this spot. Give me the points all day. Try to get a 2 if you can.
Why are you going to the America East here for this Vermont-Maine game?
Well, first off, I'm a proud alum of
Yes.
Vermont. UVM,
Yep.
class of 2000.
Teed you up on that.
So, yeah. If you ever get a chance to go to Burlington, Vermont, Emerson, God's country up there. Great
I'm
place.
a Stowe guy,
Yeah.
born and raised.
Absolutely. Love that about you. But I like Vermont here today. First off, Vermont's playing Maine, America East, 3 o'clock. It's an added game, extra game. So what does that mean? It means when you look at the Vegas ID number, rotation number, it's hard to find on your app. You have to go to an extra tab to find this game. Game 306-575, 306-576. Good steam move here to Vermont. Vermont opened as low as -2. They've been bet up to 3.5 now, even 4. When I see a line move on a tiny little game like this, Emerson, it tells me that it's almost purely smart money causing that number to move. Because with a huge slate today, are people really betting Vermont, Maine? No, not really. So the fact that it's moving tells me it's smart money. Ken Palm does have UVM by 4. Better offensive efficiency. They take much better care of the ball. UVM's 9th in the country and not turning it over. So I'm going to go money line here. It's around -160, -165. Win the game. Emerson, if we have a good day today, your Knights win, my UVM Cats win. Let's go.
Hey, my man.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
I absolutely love it. I also absolutely love that Tiger Woods was back out on the golf course, but that didn't last very long. His first start on tour since last year's Masters, and the end of it had some Paul Pierce in a wheelchair vibe. All right, back here on the Sweat, what we thought was going to be an incredible weekend at the Genesis, an elevated event. Tiger Woods is back, big stars, big names like Jordan Spieth. Not so fast. Let's dive into what the hell we've been witnessing at Riviera Country Club with my guy, Jeff Ulrich, our gorgeous golf guru here at DraftKings Network. Top of the morning to you, Jeff. How you doing today?
Top of the morning to you too, pal. I mean, I'm doing good. Like you said, I mean, this event has given us a few twists and turns, but seen some pretty good golf from some elite players still. But yeah, I mean, obviously a little bit disappointing that we're not going to be seeing two of the elite names. One of them was actually in contention as well. So a little bit of weirdness going on yesterday.
For sure. Like all of a sudden, I think people are like, well, you know, the rest of the weekend's kind of a wash because we have these two big storylines that have just been dominating headlines. You got a dude dominating the leaderboard. Going back to the Spieth situation. So he's disqualified because signs, you know, his scorecard, he leaves the scoring area without a correct scorecard. So Shane Bacon here, big on Twitter, says golf rules are pretty hilarious when you really break them down. The 12th ranked golfer in the world was told today that he can't continue to do his job because of math. Yeah, and then below that, he adds, a buddy of mine said it would be like officials asking LeBron, as if he went to the locker room at halftime, how many points he has, and if he gets it wrong, he can't play the second half. Jeff, I totally get like why they have the rule because they really want to maintain tradition and going back to when golf was born 700 years ago or whatever it was. It's archaic though. Like there are already tons of ways to keep score. They have an official scorer with them. Like what does this rule need to change? I'd say maybe a penalty, maybe make them play the third round without a putter.
Yeah. Okay, so two things. First of all, it's not the same as asking LeBron to count his points. LeBron is playing basketball, which is an up and down contact sport. I mean, that's a completely different thing. That's 10 times as hard. You're walking up and down a fairway. You're just counting a couple strokes. It's not that hard. The second thing, this has been a part of golf forever. So yeah, does it seem a little bit archaic? I guess so, it is. But like, this is the rules. We don't see this come up very often. So I don't really like the argument that, oh, this is archaic, we should get rid of this.
No, you should.
I think it's a good part of the game. You bring up a good point, though. I think the penalty is too harsh.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Disqualifying a player?
Go ahead, Jeff.
That's ridiculous. Yeah. No, I mean, I just think that the penalty is too harsh. Absolutely. Let's just penalize him like 1-2 strokes. That's it. Like you said, we do have checks on this. So let's not get rid of the player from the tournament. That's a little too harsh. I think it should stay in golf. I really do. It's been a part of the game forever. Yeah, you're asking a player to do a little bit of math. Golf isn't a contact sport. You don't have to like body the other golfers. Let's just add a little bit of twist in there. Why not? If you can't keep track of your score, you lose 2 strokes. But no, he should not have been disqualified. That part I agree with.
Because like it's simple too, because you have to go through so many steps in order to make sure everyone's on the same page about the score. So it's kind of crazy. I get it. Yep. He shot like a 2 over, 73. So he was pissed. He probably wasn't like thinking a whole lot and darted out of there before double checking and triple checking everything, which you have another individual or two also in the scoring area. It is kind of crazy. Again, understand the rule, why it's there. The punishment needs to change. I thought we were going to start this segment by talking about Tiger Woods and having to withdraw because of an illness here, Jeff, and then Spieth did the whole can't add up score thing. But Tiger Woods was making his first start, right, since last year's Masters. And so he has now withdrawn from 3 of his last 6 tournaments since the 2022 Masters and has only completed 72 holes on the PGA Tour twice, including at Riviera last season, Jeff. Just your big takeaway here, because to me, he never really looked totally comfortable. We saw the limp a little bit, but talking to producer Drew beforehand, I'm like, maybe this is just the way he looks now.
Yeah, I think there's a little bit of that. I mean, look, I believe Tiger when he says he just wasn't feeling well. Like you said, he didn't look 100% correct. It happens. I think the other factor here is, like, this is his event. You know, like he's the host. So you have to understand, like he's got double duties this week. It's not just, he's not just focused on playing. He's got other stuff to do. I don't think he wants to go on the weekend, shoot 78 or 80 tomorrow or today, excuse me, and then have to pull out and be like, yeah, I'm also the host. So maybe he just felt like he couldn't do both. I think that's fair. And like, quite frankly, I don't really care. Tiger can pull out as many events as possible. I just want to see him continue to make starts. And I think when you get him to the Masters, it will be a little bit different because he won't be focused on hosting. He'll be focused on playing and getting in 4 rounds. So yeah, it's a little bit concerning. Like you said, he had back spasms as well, but he hasn't played on the PGA for a while. So hopefully this shook off a bit of rust for Tiger. I do think you'll see a little bit more focused, a little bit, more business-like Tiger when you get to Augusta, and that's my hope, and that we do get to see 4 rounds from him.
Yeah, so did you was there any encouragement that you could look at least in the first round when it comes to maybe considering betting him again? Because remember at the Hero World Challenge, he was like, hey, listen, I actually, I'm feeling good. I want to play at least 1 tournament a month. So Masters isn't until April. Maybe we see him at the Players. Maybe we see him at the API. Like, what are you going to take from the first round when he appeared to be relatively healthy in terms of considering betting him down the road?
I mean, look, I think the one thing that this is probably going to do, Tiger's made cut odds at the Masters are probably going to get worse. So like he makes the cut at Augusta. Like he made the cut last year, basically playing on one leg. Like his leg was not right. He needed to get surgery right after that event, and he made the cut. So let's see what his odds are to make the cut at Augusta, because if he doesn't play until Augusta, it probably means that his made cut odds there are going to be a lot better than perhaps they should be. So that's something I'm going to be looking out for. I mean, look, he made some birdies on Riviera. He certainly didn't embarrass himself. I know he had that one shank, but you can shoot 78 on Riviera. Some pros did on the first run, like not 78, but I mean 3-4 over par. He didn't do that. I think that's pretty solid in and of itself. So no, I'm still bullish on Tiger for at least making the cut at Augusta, maybe putting up a better showing.
All right. Well, in terms of what we see, by the way, Tiger Woods plus 10,000 to win the Masters in April, Jeff.
Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do that right now.
That's a waste.
Let's talk about.
I don't care what Kevin from The Office tells you. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, right. Yeah, feels good to win one every once in a while. All right, let's talk about maybe who you like to win, as we still have 2 more rounds to go at Riviera here, dude. Patrick Cantlay has a 5-stroke lead right now at the halfway point. It matches the largest 36-hole lead in tournament history here. There are some big names towards the top of the leaderboard. Dave Scheffler, Xander Finau. My God, Scheffler right now, Jeff, just a side note, he's playing like at elite Tiger back in his prime days, tee to green, but when he gets on the freaking green, he was near dead last in this field in putting here. So looking at this featured event here, who stands out to you right now?
I can't believe we're still talking about this with Scotty Scheffler. I mean, this isn't like a new phenomenon.
No.
This is like a year and a half we're talking about this. This guy really needs to figure out the around the green and the putting. He's basically turning into like elite Luke Lists. So it is interesting to watch. Look, Cantlay's probably going to win this event. I mean, like, let's not sugarcoat it. He looked great yesterday. He had some awkward drives, and he just like, I think I'll just hit it to 10 feet from the rough. So when a guy's doing that around Riviera, it's really hard to stop. Look, I think that if you're targeting anyone back there, the 2 names that jump out to me, Tony Finau has looked good outside of like a 3-hole stretch. He's plus 4,000. And then Xander Schauffele has made a habit of making some really big comebacks in his career. And I'm not suggesting Cantlay is going to fall apart, but like if Schauffele if someone's going to go out and shoot like 62 on Sunday, like Schauffele has done that. So that's just a guy I would be wary of. I do like the top 10 odds on Tony Finau as well. Like I said, he's played well. It's just he had one really terrible stretch, and it kind of took him out of contention, and then Cantlay blasted off, and it's just like, okay, well, he's 8 back. But I think that the top 10 odds on Finau are very fair. He's finished top 10 at this event numerous times. He's got a great course history. I think plus 125, extremely fair odds there on Finau.
Yeah, and just go back to Cantlay, like his steadiness really hasn't even been rewarded with a trophy since the 2022 BMW Championship. And like the dude is like top 3, 4, 5 in some of the major stats like on tour. We'll see. It's going to be a 6-hour round for him. We all know that. What do you like right now in terms of round 3 props? Anything stand out to you on the DK Sportsbook?
Yeah, I mean, Cantlay just doesn't doesn't win as much as he should.
Yeah.
But when the putter shows up, he's hard to beat. Like I said, Tony Finau plus 110 to finish in the top 10 at the end of round 3.
Okay, there you go.
I think that's another bet you could consider. You could, obviously double down on Tony. You could play round 3 and round 4 if you wanted. But let's go to matchup props just quickly.
Okay.
I don't mind taking my guy Russell Henley over JT Poston on DraftKings. Poston has had a good run, but he really did not hit the ball well the first couple rounds. This is not what I'd call a JT Poston course. It's a little bit longer, puts more stress on your approaches, and that's just hindered him at this week. And I think he's also a better Bermuda putter. Henley's played pretty well around Riviera for his career. He's a better long iron player, at least slightly better, and he played pretty well yesterday. I think minus 110 for Russ there in that situation with the way JT Poston hit the ball the first couple rounds. I think that's pretty fair. I would lean a little bit making Henley the favorite in that one. So I think getting him at minus 110 is pretty fair.
All right, Jeff, good hanging out with you this morning. Well, a lot of big tournaments coming up here as golf is just getting underway. The season is, so we'll be talking to you much more. Not as rowdy out there, Riviera, as Waste Management last week, by the way. Everyone's California sober out in California. Hey,
that's right.
Kyle Shanahan may need to chill out a little bit because what he did last week, not great, Bob. We got some futures we're going to look ahead to next around the NFL. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Julian Edlow. It's been a few blocks. Thanks for being here again.
No problem. Figured I should, get in here, do a little heavy lifting.
Yeah, indeed. And I have some heavy lifting for you to do right now. Let's react, because we talked NBA earlier. Let's talk some NFL right now.
Yeah.
We're still fresh. The Super Bowl's still fresh on the mind. We're going to look into our big, beefy crystal balls here in a second. But looking back on that Super Bowl, you nailed it with the Chiefs. Congratulations.
No sweat winner.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, absolutely no sweat whatsoever. But the dynasty otherwise known as the Kansas City Chiefs, they're officially here, aren't they?
Yeah, they're that team right now. They've completed people want to compare them to the Patriots, right? And Mahomes to Brady. They've completed the first part of what the Patriots did, and then they took a break of winning Super Bowls, but they were in contention each year, and then eventually got another 3 in 5 year situation. So let's see how they can build off this. But they have their 3 in a short window. What is it? 3 in 5 years.
Yeah.
So they're the real deal. And you look at the Chiefs, like we were talking on this show, ahead of Baltimore, Kansas City in the AFC Championship game. Like, how about Kansas City plus 400 to win it all? Like, that's when they're in the Final Four. They're plus 650 next year to win it all. It almost seems like you just wait for a better number for people to start doubting them and then come in on them at that point that you're going to get a better number. But, it's the Niners at 550 at the top looking at next year and the Chiefs at plus 650. If you want to take the Chiefs, I'm not going to argue with you for the same reason I wouldn't argue with you about the Patriots. They're going to put it, unless Mahomes gets hurt, they're going to put themselves in position to win every year, and you're going to have a good ticket in pocket. I can't tell if it's going to cash or not, but you're going to be in that, conference championship game, probably hosting it at Arrowhead. If you're not, you're still going to have a great chance to win it and maybe go to the Super Bowl, maybe you don't, but you can hedge when you get there. They're going to be in position.
Does Kyle Shanahan deserve the label of choke artist, the offensive coordinator in that 28-3 Super Bowl, then lost the 10-point lead in Super Bowl 54 to the Chiefs, lost another double-digit lead in Super Bowl 58 to the Chiefs?
Yes, absolutely. And you can go ahead and fire Steve Wilkes if that's what you think.
That was BS. That was BS.
Move. Steve Wilkes did a great job, held Mahomes to 19 points in regulation. They barely got anything going in the first half. Steve Wilkes did his job. Kyle Shanahan got some flukes, like the special teams. There's 5 plays in that game you could point to. If the Niners do this, they win the game. Mm-hmm. I think the special teams blunder was the biggest. And McLeod did the right thing trying to dive for the ball because it had already been touched by somebody else. But that one maybe not as much on Shanahan, a special teams mistake. But the rest of them, taking the ball in overtime, not bleeding clock in certain spots.
The San Francisco players saying, we didn't really know the new overtime
Not coaching
rules.
your team for the rules. When Kansas City was on it since training camp, they were ready to go. They're like, we know that we want the ball second, regardless of who wins. It's just what direction are we going to go? So Kansas City was more prepared. They deserve to win. But Shanahan, absolutely a choke artist. It's now 3 Super Bowl appearances. You've led by double digits in the second half of all of them. You've lost all of them. And the only little asterisk I'll give him is that those losses came Brady, Mahomes. So he's been opposite elite competition. But it keeps happening. And it's also happened in games without them. It's happened in non-Super Bowl playoff games against lesser competition. It's just not the Super Bowl.
Which team's more likely to be in New Orleans for Super Bowl 59? These are the 2 teams you can currently bet their win totals on the DK Sportsbook. Chiefs set at 10.5, 49ers set at 11.5 right now, Jules.
Yeah, so like which team is more likely? If we look at the Super Bowl odds next year, the top 7 teams, 5 of them are AFC. Niners are favored, and then the fifth favorite is the Detroit Lions at 12-1. Otherwise, Kansas City plus 650, Baltimore plus 900, Buffalo plus 1,000, Cincy 13-1, Miami 17-1. So, statistically, mathematically, like the Niners are going to have the easy path. Mm-hmm. And part of the reason I bet the Niners big to win the NFC this year was I don't know if I believe in the Eagles and the Cowboys and these other teams that they're contending with. That turned out to look pretty good, the way that the Eagles and Cowboys bowed out. So, again, they're going to be angry, and they're in the lesser conference, so the Niners probably have the better shot to get there again. But like I said, the Chiefs are going to be in position. Now, maybe it's the AFC title game, and it's in Baltimore again next year, and Baltimore's just ready. Maybe it's in Buffalo. whatever. Maybe it's in. Well, actually, you know what? Everybody wanted to talk about the Manning Brady. Or is it at Josh Allen? It's really Burrow. Like, Burrow's the guy that's beaten him to go to the Super Bowl in that, and Burrow was out this year. Bengals 13-1. Don't mind that one, and that's another team like Burrow's proven capable of knocking Mahomes out. So that's why the AFC is going to be tougher next year.
The Lions, do you really believe, are the biggest threat to dethroning maybe the 49ers? Have the Lions arrived?
They kind of look like it. They've played the part. It seems like they're there, and now they have, generally when these teams get over the hump, you have one of those gut-wrenching losses when you're like right at the doorstep, and it helps you get there and helps you improve, and that's in all sports. And the Lions now have that on their resume. The Eagles had a tough loss in the Super Bowl to the Chiefs, but they clearly did not have it this year. The Eagles, Cowboys, and Packers are all 20-1. The Packers have now entered that conversation just as much as Dallas and Philly, according to odds makers. So, like, the NFC's fallen off. One of those teams probably proves to be better than we're giving them credit for because we have this recency bias of what just happened and gets off to a hot start. But, I mean, we got to remember the playoff history. These teams haven't had it.
And then elsewhere on the DK Sportsbook, in the NFL section, Coach of the Year. Mm-hmm. So Jim Harbaugh, last time he took a new coaching job in the NFL, he won this award in runaway fashion. So it kind of makes sense that he's the favorite here. That first award-winning season, by the way, 2011, when he led San Francisco to a 13-3 record. Do you like him at the top of the board here again?
So I'm going to say I understand why he's favored. A lot of hype. He's coming off a championship. He's done it before. It takes a few years to build. So I'm not going to bet Harbaugh to win Coach of the Year. Will he get one in a few years? Maybe. I also don't think, outside of Herbert, I don't think the Chargers have the pieces that they need or the coaches around Harbaugh that they need to win yet. I think this is going to take some time to build. So I'm a no on Coach of the Year.
I think they're in salary cap hell too. They're going to have to.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot. We'll see what Raheem Morris can do in Atlanta. Matt LaFleur's up there because of the strong finish that Green Bay had. I'm not going to bet this now, and I won't necessarily tell you a name that I would bet because I'll probably get there over the summer. But what I will tell you, I disagree with Jim Harbaugh being the favorite there. That means that everybody below him comes at a better price than they should.
All right. The NFL offseason is here. I believe the new league year starts in a few weeks, middle of March. Free agency will open, all that fun stuff. The draft is right around the corner, and a lot of eyes right now on what Chicago is going to do. So one of the biggest questions hanging over the league right now is the future of Justin Fields at quarterback for Chicago. So in terms of next team to land his services, there is a favorite. Yeah. And it is not Chicago. And it is on the AFC side of the NFL. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers, Julian. Where would you put your money on this list?
I'm following the money here. It's Pittsburgh Steelers -125. It's come down from -120. It's come down from 10-1. The Steelers were 10-1, and this has come barreling down to an odds-on favorite. That means it took some serious money. Now, I don't know if the pieces are actually in place here. I don't know how far along they are on making this deal actually happen, but Fields leaving Chicago, the Bears at 2-1. Generally, I would say, last week we talked to DeJounte Murray at the trade deadline, and I said bet him +185 to stay with the Hawks. Generally, betting on a team to stay with the team they're on in a short window makes sense to me. But Chicago has that number one pick. They're probably whoever has the number one pick is going to take Caleb Williams. If Chicago keeps it, they're going to take Caleb Williams, and that means Justin Fields has to be on the move. So Pittsburgh is now down to just Kenny Pickett on the roster.
Yeah, because they got rid of Trubisky. And Adam Schefter said earlier this week, too, that Mike Tomlin is a big fan of Justin Fields.
Yeah, it's all kind of coming together. He feels like a Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback. He's tough. He's dual threat. I think he winds up there.
A couple other dudes to choose from here in the Players Next Team tab on the DraftKings Sportsbook. Anyone else grab your attention here? There's Russell Wilson there. Kirk Cousins is there as well.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins pretty heavily favored at -200 to go back to Minnesota. If you go up to Russell Wilson there, Denver is still +350. And the Steelers, if we like if we like Fields to go to the Steelers, and the Steelers are even money for Wilson, and Denver's right behind them at +350, that means the board starts with Atlanta at +450. So, and it's not going to be the Patriots. So we're looking at Falcons, Raiders, Vikings if Cousins moves. I don't think the Commanders were happy with Sam Howell, 16-1. So if we just draw a line through Pittsburgh and Denver at the top, kind of like we did with Harbaugh in the Coach of the Year market, that just means we're getting great prices on the rest of the board as info kind of trickles out. Could be some good bets there.
All right, Jules. Well, thanks a lot for swinging by here and hanging out with us on a Saturday.
Sure.
We're going to dive a lot deeper into some of the draft odds on the DK Sportsbook on this show next weekend. So we look forward to seeing you then.
Love betting the NFL draft.
You're not? You love
I
that.
love betting the NFL draft.
Yeah, you certainly do. And we love when you do, and we love your advice. Thank you so much. Josh will return. We're going to wrap up this morning edition of The Swag coming up next. All right, folks, final block of this Saturday morning edition of The Sweat. We appreciate you hanging out with us. We're here every Saturday and Sunday morning from 8 o'clock to 10 o'clock Eastern Time on DraftKings Network and VSiN. I'm Emerson Lancia, Josh Applebaum here. Josh, big market guy, big analytics guy, so we're going to wrap up the program with some market insights here. And let's start with UFC because there's a massive pay-per-view on deck. UFC is back in California, back in Anaheim, the former home of Shohei Ohtani. That's tonight, one of the most highly anticipated main events in a while in UFC 298, the biggest event of 2024 so far. So what are you seeing in terms of movement right now? Give us that market insight.
Yeah, so I'm going to focus on a welterweight bout here, Emerson, between Jeff Neal and Ian Gary. And one quick comment when it comes to looking at data, like my niche in the betting market is looking at what the market is doing, following the market, kind of acting like a Wall Street guy looking at the stock market. I'm not a pro handicapper. I'm not setting my own numbers and telling you, hey, I have this number, the odds makers have this, therefore bet that. But the beauty of being a market-driven bettor is that you can kind of bet any sport as long as you have access to the line movement, the percentages, the system matches. It can be any kind of sport. If you can read the market, you can bet it. So I like betting UFC. To me, when I'm betting UFC, I look at a couple of things. I look at where the percentage of bets are coming down, where the line is moving, and then I also look at the tail of the tape in terms of looking at ideally a fighter who is younger, taller, has a longer reach, and then when you apply the betting market, has a line move with a good bet split. So I fell on Ian Gary. I'm going to go Ian Gary, Emerson. I know it's kind of a big number. He opened minus 200. He's been bet up, as high as minus 235, minus 240. So it's a big price here. It's really important to bet to risk versus bet to win. You're not risking 2.4 units to win one. You're just risking your 1 unit trying to get a little less than a half unit back. What I like about Ian Gary, one is that he opened minus 200 and he's been bet up so hard. So it's telling us basically that the market is moving in his favor. Also, the public is loading up on the dog Neal, yet the line is moving toward Gary. So you have a bit of a fade the trendy dog reverse line move in favor of Gary. Then we get into some of the tail of the tape here, Emerson. Ian Gary is younger, 26 years old versus 33 years old. He's taller, 6'2" versus 5'9". And then we get into some of the stats here. Significant strikes per minute. This is important when you're betting UFC. Ideally, you want your male or female fighter to knock the other person out, submit them, but a lot of times it goes through a decision to the judges, and a lot of times the judges will lean on who has more strikes, who put up more offense. Significant strikes per minute with Gary, 6.7 versus 5.2 per round or per minute. So again, he has more offense here. Significant strike accuracy, 56% versus 50%. And also looking at better grappler or wrestler. If he can get this one to the mat, big advantage here for Gary. His finished takedowns, 75% versus only 44% for Jeff Neal. So I'm going Ian Gary. I know it's a big number here, but I'm going to have him just to sweat him to win the bout tonight.
And strikes are also huge in DFS. If you're going to go ahead and build a lineup, a UFC lineup for tonight's UFC 298. And by the way, most dudes who say they're 6'2" are not 6'2". Trust me. I'm 6'2". As for those folks watching, we had a big college basketball audience.
Oh yeah, made Maggie happy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So a lot of teams on the bubble right now. Again, about a month or so out from Selection Sunday. Quite a few games this weekend that can help push teams out of that at-large conversation right now and are worth tuning in for. So which ones do you have for us?
Yeah, so there's a great tab on the DK Sportsbook right now to make or miss the tournament. And again, a lot of these numbers are huge. Like one side is minus 1,000 or minus 1,500. Other side's plus 1,500, plus 2,000. I'm not going to focus on those. Those are your long shots. It's more of a long shot for the dog to make it versus betting the favorite to miss it. Again, it's just too much of a minus number. So we got two for you, Emerson. One is Nevada. This is a team that I've been staying up late to sweat quite a bit this year. I've been watching them a lot. They're pretty much a coin flip here to make or miss the tournament. Yes is plus 105. No is minus 135. I'm going to take a shot on the yes at plus 105. Nevada is 19-6 on the year. The Mountain West is a very strong conference. Should have a lot of teams from the Mountain West to make it. I think the important thing is if you're betting this, don't just look at what they've done in the past, but try to map out what's ahead of them, what's moving forward. What does the remaining schedule look like? Now, obviously, you really need Nevada to hopefully win today. They're a very short dog. They're only getting plus 1.5 on the road at UNLV. Analytics say, Ken Pom in particular, that could be an opportunity to escape with a win or at least take the points with Nevada. But if they can get that UNLV game today, the remaining schedule, they're going to play Wyoming. They're a 500 team, should beat them. San Jose State, 9-16, you should beat them. Now, you have some tough ones, Colorado State, Boise, you're going to play UNLV again. But you're also going to play Fresno, 11-14. So if this is a team that, down the stretch, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, can you go 4-3, 5-2? Can you have a final record of around 25 wins? I think that's enough to maybe get into the tournament. They got two great players, Jared Lucas, Keenan Blackshear. Steve Alford is a really good coach, and they have some strong wins on the year. So I'm going to take a shot on Nevada to make the tournament at plus 105.
Okay, anything else there in terms of bubble teams?
Real quick, Nebraska. Nebraska's a team that's had some huge upset wins this year. Remember, they beat Purdue when Purdue was number 1.
Yep.
They beat Nebraska when they were ranked number 6. They went to overtime against Illinois. The really big thing you're going to look at with the selection committee is quad 1 wins. Basically, do you have any good wins against really good competition? They have a bunch of those. Nebraska is 17-8 on the year. Their yes/no is minus 115, both sides. So I think even the sports books don't really know how to set this one. They're basically saying, hey, pay the juice minus 115, but we don't really lean one way or the other. I like them to hopefully make it, Emerson. I'll go minus 115 that they will make it. Nebraska's a big favorite today. They're favored by 8.5 against Penn State. If you can get that win, then you look at the remaining schedule, no ranked teams. Indiana, Minnesota, Ohio State, Rutgers, Michigan. Michigan's down this year. I think they can get into the tournament here. I would bet the yes on Nebraska minus 115 to make the tournament.
Okay, quickly here. NBA All-Star Game also has your attention. Why is that?
It does, Emerson. I'm going to be the really annoying, person at the party who's going to take the under in the total here because it's a very high total.
I mean, Julian gave his input on that earlier in the show, and
yeah, what did he take over under?
Yeah, so he thought it was a good spot to maybe wait until the game kind of starts.
Okay, so live bet opportunity.
Maybe a live bet opportunity there.
So I'm with Julian in that regard. I think the one thing, so let's look at what the market's doing. This total opened 364.5. I mean, you're only going to get a total like this in an All-Star game. They play no defense, Emerson. It's just a glorified, exhibition game. Obviously, it's a massive total, but it did fall. It opened 364.5. It's down to 363.5. Crazy high total. They don't play defense. The over is 13-5 since 2005. Last year, we had a 184 to 175 game. You landed 359. But Emerson, the big thing here is that the rules have changed. It's no longer, the Elam ending, which we were talking about during the break, how you have to play that, untimed final score. Gets really weird there in the end. I like that Adam Silver said, let's just go back to East-West. Let's go back to 4 quarters.
So much simple and easier. I want to think like less and less. I want to sit there and have a beverage on the couch and not have to do math in my head.
Exactly. So this should hopefully be easier for you, Emerson. But I was trying to do some math here, looking at the 4 years of the Elam ending versus the 4 years prior. You average around 328 in terms of a final total for the last 4 years of the Elam. When we had regular, just, the East-West, 4 quarters, 12 minutes, it was 331. So it was about the same. But I think with the rule changes and maybe the way this will be played, East-West, going back to old school, I think you're going to go under here. So I'll take under 363.5. And if you're looking for a player prop, there are player props on this game. Jason Tatum over 23.5 points. I think you got to look at the guys who care about this game.
MVP last year.
He won the MVP.
Yep.
If we're in Boston, so we follow Tatum a lot. It means a lot to him. A lot of these players, this is like your, this is your time to shine amongst your peers, play well.
And it meant a lot to him last year, too, because of, the award being named after Kobe.
Exactly. So I think Tatum's going to take this seriously. I think he's going to play hard. He's young. He'll get a lot of minutes. I go over 23.5 points for Tatum.
Okay, also it's that time of year when NFL trade rumors are running rampant, and DraftKings Sportsbook here is offering next team odds for a lot of these stars. Guys like Russell Wilson, Justin Fields, Kirk Cousins, and more, kind of fueling some speculation here about where their landing spot is going to be next. So what do you like in these markets?
So to me, I'm going to kind of wait a little bit here because I think you're going to get a lot of the crazy rumor season right now where you're hearing a lot of hot takes. This guy will go there, that guy will go there. Cousins, to me, there was kind of an inkling of maybe he teams up with Belichick in Atlanta. Obviously, Belichick doesn't get the job. That's kind of been thrown off the board here. I think there's a chance maybe San Francisco, if you can get a good plus money payout here for Kirk Cousins.
What?
Shanahan, to me, I know it's kind of a long shot here.
Brock Purdy, they did not lose that Super Bowl because of him.
Plus 1,800. And my whole reasoning here, I know Vikings minus 200. Always keep an eye out for a guy who's expected to stay on his own team. It's kind of like not the sexy pick, but to stay there and play for the Vikings
and
minus 200.
Does he have a track record with Shanahan? Were they together in Washington?
They were together in Washington. Great job by you, Emerson.
Yep.
But also,
thanks to producer Drew getting in my ear and telling me that.
Thank you, Drew. Drew's always got our back. But I would also say, does Shanahan just say, he's always like, I'm more important than the quarterback. I had Jimmy G to the Super Bowl. I had Purdy to the Super Bowl. does he say, hey, maybe I need to upgrade my QB, make my life a little bit easier? Cousins is a free agent. I think he wanted like $30 million a year guaranteed for 3 years.
From one system quarterback to another?
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding, everybody.
So I know the financials are a little bit tough because you obviously have a lot of star players you got to pay with not much budget in terms of the cap. But to me, for taking a long shot, Cousins to the 49ers, I think it makes some sense.
Okay. All right. I do know, too, like with Justin Jefferson, like they tried to offer him this massive extension before this last season. And he said no because he wants to end up playing with Kirk Cousins. He likes what they have done together. So I think in order for the team to work something out with Justin Jefferson, they're going to have to work out something with Kirk Cousins. This is why I think Vikings being the favorite to land him or keep him, I should say.
There's also a rumor, did you hear around here, Patriots maybe trade their pick, get Jefferson in return.
I think Justin Fields could end up.
I would take Fields any day of the week here.
All right, that's a show, everybody. We're back here tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock Eastern time. Deuces.